Hello.
Hello.
Um, the first thing is just your name and where you are right now.
I am Anna Mερτζάνη. I am in Athens, and right now I'm in my office, looking out the window in a very shiny day today here in Athens. It's the 18th of February 2023, and just that.
Okay. So the first question is our most ambitious question is who are you as a person, as a human
Yeah.
being?
Yeah, I watched a couple other interviews, and I was amazed by the uniqueness and of the answers and how the therapist tried to dive into that. So very wide question. So I'm gonna do my best. Well, I'm a modern Greek woman, born and raised in Athens, Greece, a country which is a combination, it combines or divides Middle East and West. So a country which has often been exposed in conflicts or possibilities of conflicts, diplomatic dialogues in order to sustain and maintain its integrity, its allies who change their minds and everything. I mean, I refer to that because this has always been in my field, but it never I realized its gravity once I entered refugee field, where I'm currently working. So I'm a woman in a man's world, trying to do my best as far as empowering myself and other women colleagues to stand up for their rights. And I sometimes I get frustrated and disappointed when I see women facing other women with stereotypes and prejudices. What else? I love nature. I have in my psyche the Mediterranean Sea, the color, the blue, turquoise blue, the smell of the sea, and at the same time the Greek mountains. Once you travel in Greece, one can find that you can have both in one place. Beautiful mountains where you can hike and the sea underneath. So I've been blessed with that. What else? Let me see. I guess I'm in pursuit of truth as a person. Obviously, in the sense of the subjective experience of each person, which is very much connected with Gestalt therapy. And I give great value to that. Obviously, the objective factors are there, the field is there, which influences, but each person needs to have is entitled to express their empirical, their subjective experience towards the objective one. So I get very excited and very when I reach such contactful moments, either in therapy or outside, when a person is telling their truth on things.
So I'm gonna take that because that's a little bit of our next questions. You started to talk
Oh,
about truth. Our next question is about core values. So
all right.
truth,
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
about some of your core values and how you feel that you hold these values in your life.
Well, yeah, that will be one. That will be
Mhm,
definitely one.
mhm,
Um, I'm very much interested in, ever since obviously I was trained in Gestalt therapy. I am, the pursuing of being yourself,
mhm,
um, and being aware of all the interjections you may carry, is a pursuit of a good form, as we say.
mhm,
So
mhm,
being in with a client or with a friend,
mhm,
I always value when a person who uses a term that everybody, we all use, but they mean a totally different thing.
mhm,
So a client may say that I was, feeling bored as a child, but and another one may say the same thing, but they may mean totally
mhm,
different things. So
yeah,
what's behind the words? That's very interesting to me. That's why I love etymology.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, and this goes along with somehow the pursuit of justice, not in terms of you being wrong and I'm being right, but in terms of everyone taking the responsibility,
mhm,
their own responsibility on things. And this really makes me feel more optimistic and relieved when we reach these moments. Um, my passions, my
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They could be values,
can
I guess.
feel that there. Um, art is my passion.
Yeah.
All kinds of forms of art. I mean, literature, theater, um, movies. I admire movie makers. I think it's a great accomplishment.
Mhm,
It's a teamwork, and uh, art. I can find art in therapy. Um, when the moment is really palpable, and I can define that I'm in an artsy mood
mhm,
when I'm very much connected in the here and now, and I don't want to be anywhere else, just there.
mhm,
I mean, I studied theater and I have worked as
mhm,
professionally some years. Um, I'm an author of a child's book on a children's book on based on the UN Convention on Children's Rights. So it's a fiction of
mhm,
8 friends who are in a camp in the summer, and they encounter such incidents that they make them realize their rights.
mhm.
So
They
yeah,
realize their own rights on their own.
yeah,
Is that the?
yeah,
Oh,
they're
that's
no, not on
beautiful.
their own, not really on their own, but with the help of a very inspiring team leader
Okay.
in the camp.
Mhm,
Um, I wrote that book when I was a teacher,
mhm,
because that was my first degree. I'm a teacher, so I wrote something that was lacking, that I missed having in my
mhm,
hands. So it's kind of there are some autobiographical elements
mhm,
in there, but that was a product of my master's degree on child abuse. as well. So, you know, everything is somehow connected.
Okay. So the next question would be about something more specific, an event or maybe a set of circumstances that you feel that shaped your life in a significant way, or that impact you in a more significant way, and how did the situation have a large impact in your life?
Right. Oh, well, obviously my parents divorced and their personalities was a great impact on me. This was a marriage as a result of a matchmaking. So it didn't work. I mean, they got divorced 2 years after they got married. Very, very different people they are. So this didn't last, but what lasted was the management of this misjudgment. And that was very something that I had to handle for many, many years. A person that was that had a big impact on me obviously was my first therapist. One of the 4 founders here in Gestalt Foundation in Athens, Greece. I think what she did was that she conveyed to me that being in contact can be sort of trained. It can happen. It's all right that you didn't have the opportunity to have it from the beginning, but you can claim it along the way. So, and she grounded me as well. So after being for a decade with her as a professional client, you know what I mean? It came so naturally to be a practitioner myself, a Gestalt practitioner myself, which is because I had assimilated all the theory. And when I was at the training, I felt so blessed because all the definitions and all the theory was there, and it had meaning for me. It wasn't just words. Obviously, they had claimed a past meaning from when I was a client, but they were redefining themselves along the way as well. But yeah, that's a big impact into my life, and obviously I owe her a lot. And currently I would refer to my supervisor with whom I work my cases, and I worship his simplicity and his being able to balance between being in the client's shoes and checking himself all the time, and being with you know, at the same time with himself. So and last personality I must refer to is a professor in acting. Very inspiring person, very knowledgeable person, who actually what she did, apart from the big knowledge she had on many, many things, and her open-mindedness, was that she believed in me, not only as an actress, thank God for that, but as a personality, something that was probably missing from the family structure I grew up in.
So, well, Yeah, you mentioned several people. So I guess the next question would be about your gender. How do you feel? How do you live? How do you experience your gender? What is your lived experience in your gender?
Well, as I said, I still feel that this is a man's world on many
Yeah.
levels. Although there is constant progress, baby steps maybe, but there is some mobility. But I can always sense that I need to have a battle here to win something. Whereas if I was a man, I wouldn't need to be in that position. I wouldn't need to prove something, that the way would be open to me, if I were a man. On the other hand, gender goes with ethnicity as well.
Yeah.
So, I may be a European woman, and having received all the stereotypes from European men, but if I meet a woman from Congo,
Yeah.
I see that I'm more benefited than her, or from Afghanistan, or anything. So obviously it's complex. I have had some incidents, some, I would say, racist incidents, where I felt that it was mostly due to my gender, that my disposition, my difficult situation was due to my gender. So but again, it's all relative.
Very much intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about your age? How are you experiencing your age in this very moment of your life?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm 47. I think it has to do with the connection I have with the environment. As we are all political beings, I mean, when I'm on my own, I may feel close, maybe prematurely, maybe because of fear or prejudices, close to the end, or starting the end of my journey. But if I'm around people who, are fine with my age, or prefer more mature women or people, I may feel younger. So it really has to do. It's co-related. It's co-created, and it changes along the way, and it changes according to the circumstances you're in. Surely sometimes I feel I took things for granted when I was young. I should have worshipped things, but I don't think that this is how it goes. I don't think that we can be more mature than prematurely mature. We cannot do that. So we are as much mature as we can be in each time.
Okay.
I guess.
So how about privilege and power? Usually it's about, or originally I think the question is about how you experience privilege and power, but I mean, you can expand on that however you like, how you think about it, because it seems like something of a cognitive aspect as well, but mainly how you live it, privilege and power.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I'm currently coordinating, and I work for one of the oldest NGOs in the refugee field in Athens. And I'm coordinating an interdisciplinary team of psychologists, social workers, job counselors, educators, and obviously interpreters. So I'm the team leader, and I have changed teams many times. And this is where I would, that's the first thing that came to my mind when you talked about you know, being privileged, or and obviously working again in the refugee field, where we come across very underprivileged people. It's a challenge. It really again depends on the personality you have across and you encounter. I would say that the balance of power is always a challenge. But if one is has gone through their own circle of, of contact in terms of being critical, look of the choices they have made, the assimilation he has made, and really being close to themselves in full awareness each time, and come to the encounter with the other in such a position, then the chances are that you meet the person in a balanced way. Although the hierarchy says another thing, my goal is to reach out to people in a more balanced way, and taking into consideration their backgrounds, because everybody comes from somewhere, has their own reasons for being here, for making these choices, or making these mistakes. So I'm really, really trying to enter the relationships in this way, and invite people to express themselves, especially when we have this interdisciplinary team meetings. I really invite them to talk about how they are feeling apart from the cases they're handling. How are they as professionals? How are they feeling right now? I really need to give them space, and I really need to take space and express myself and my frustration, with all the obstacles that we have in the refugee field. So that's the way I see it anyway. And that's the way I would like to be handled by my superiors. Which has not always been the case. This has but I wish, and I think that if they were a little bit more, out of their very rigid role of being, your superior, you know, that would be more fruitful.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know if I answer your question.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're good with that in Gestalt. Breaking up a little bit of the rigidity of the,
Yeah, and the
in
fixated.
relationships in general. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it has to do with how fixated are the seeking of identities. The identity is something fixed, is not something vivid, is not palpable
Mm.
when we seek identity, because I think that there is a big confusion between culture and identity,
Mm.
personal values, and how an identity is only one thing, where
Mm.
it isn't. It can be many, many things, many influences, and it's fine to
Yeah.
be like that.
Yeah. Okay, so our next question is one of my favorites, and it
Yeah.
tends to be different. What is your first contact with Gestalt therapy? How did you first like encounter Gestalt therapy in your life?
Right. Wow, yeah.
Mm.
I was looking for a therapist. I was recommended to my eventually my therapist, and I had no idea she was a Gestalt therapist. I had no idea what Gestalt meant, so I just needed somebody to help me, really. One of the things that really were impactful were the retreats we did for 4 days, 3 or 4 days. And there you would meet a whole Gestalt community.
Yeah.
And people who were, you know, struggling with something personal, but at the same time being together. I think the togetherness and is something that really changed. It was a life-changing experience for me. And being able to share anything that came into my mind without criticism or you know, and the pursuit of my own truth, as I mentioned before. So all the experiential activities, you know, all the groups we had, and how amazed we were at the end of how the magical the connection was.
Yeah.
But not in the sense of not being realistic. It was totally realistic. We could all feel that, you know, and it was above any differences. It brought us together, no matter who we were, what age, sex, or orientation, sexual orientation, whatever. It was a human connection. So that was very meaningful, and that was very that influenced my life, and that was my first experience with Gestalt.
So it was a retreat before your official training,
that
or as
was
part?
that was after some months. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, you started to answer this. I don't know if you'd like to add what attracted you most in Gestalt, or is that a little bit of what you just said?
Yeah. I think the notion of not being invasive, of the notion of that the client knows better than you do, and you have to sort of follow his story and, you know, shed some lights here and there, but that you follow him or her. That was very this is what changed my perception, and that attracted me a lot. It wasn't an experience of another, you know, another traumatic experience or another abusive experience or something that I would have to fit in order to be accepted. It was the other way around. And of course, what attracted me most was that I had to take responsibility of who I, at the end, I had chose to be, or my awareness of that I'm changing all the time and it's fine, you know, and I'm taking responsibility for that. Not that I'm changing my minds all the time, but I know that I'm changing. The awareness that I'm changing all the time. And I take the responsibility for that. That attracted me as well.
That's what you started with a little bit, responsibility for self, my own responsibility for myself.
Yeah.
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 So the next question is more specific in your job, like what is it that you do? Where do you do it? What's the nature of it? How do you use Gestalt and everything else?
Well,
the
obviously,
professional, your professional life.
Yeah. I'm currently a Gestalt practitioner in Athens, and I at the same time I'm coordinating the team I refer to. I have coordinated a parental group counseling with refugees. A colleague and myself, we did that. And that was a life-changing experience as well. Refugees from all over the world, and with children, with many problems in integrating here. So what I do is that I work in the integrational part of the refugee field. I'm not at the crisis, or I'm not working on the islands where the camps is, or where the refugees first arrive. But later, I'm working with asylum seekers and recognized refugees. We try to provide high quality free services to families, children, register children to schools, take them to museums. Gestalt actually has inspired me, and that's a great exchange. Gestalt Foundation, Athens and Thessaloniki, both institutions have this very nice habit that's at these 4 days retreats at the end of the year. They pass a small it's sorry, I forget the word. It's a small hand made of marble, I think, and they call this helping hand. So they do a lottery, and the student who gets that, they keep it for 1 year, and the worship, why they're, you know, they think of what is the worth of keeping this hand, and how can I help as a Gestalt practitioner other people. So when their time comes, they go to the next retreat, and they give it to the next person who happens to take it. So I was so inspired by that. That was actually by Harm Simmons. That he started it. Harm Simmons was their mentor, and they followed that tradition. So now, coming back to the refugee field, I remember one day there was this woman from Congo, and she says, "Thank God we're here. Because once we leave this place, nobody talks to us. We're transparent." That's what she said. So I was just, I was thinking, what can we do? What is that she just said? It was like a bomb that had dropped. But it was the reality, she depicted her reality, her truth. And it is very much the truth. And since I was the coordinator of volunteers as well, I kept receiving, requests for volunteerism, which were very touching. And but they didn't fit to the positions that we had. So I gathered all these a request to volunteer, of people who wanted to volunteer, and I did a training with a methodology, supervision, and everything. And I called it Helping Hands Joined. So a Greek citizen meets a refugee citizen, and they hang around, and they move around Athens. They go to museums, they have a coffee, they sit at a bench and have a chat. And then as I started that, COVID came to our lives. So I thought, oh my God, that's destroyed. But on the contrary, it was revitalized then, because it was such a win-win situation that even that the people would meet through Zoom or WhatsApp, FaceTime and everything. But they would meet every week because both of them needed it. It wasn't like I'm the Greek benefited person and I pay to you, you're the weak person, I'm the strong person. And, they both needed the company. So it was more than I expected. It was more than I could imagine, the result. And the supervisions were amazing because people would, they had the chance to go through their own limits, their boundaries, and their stereotypes and their prejudices. And they had the space and the freedom to express them. And they were talking about the person who thought that they were the heroes for him, but they weren't really. They were equal people like them. And working in the refugee field, this is my concept anyway. That's how I want to see it. Once you enter refugee field, you should always remind yourself that you could be at their place at any time.
Yeah.
Once you forget that, something is wrong, So this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. So how did Gestalt therapy affect you as a person, as a human being? We've touched on this before, but we have like a specific question on the personal impact in maybe a more profound or more specific way. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the holistic part, the holism, which is one of the Gestalt pillars, really affected me. And obviously the relational part of it, I think I became more of who I really was, you know. And more close to people without, you know, being very self-conscious of my image. You know, these things were, as I was younger, they were very high up, but now they don't matter that much. And mind you, I had to struggle to get over and pass the obstacles that probably my appearances or my being a woman element brought, you know. So everything came along at the same time as I was leaving behind my you know, efforts to being very much correct and very well put, you know. As I was leaving that position, I was becoming more of my self. And that's really where Gestalt comes in.
So, do you feel like you are a part of the Gestalt community?
Once I meet other Gestalt therapists and we start talking, it's magical because we immediately, you know, connect and we understand what we mean. You know, we say a word, we say a definition, we instantly know what we mean.
Easy communication.
It is an easy communication, yeah. Exactly, yeah, for a change. So in that matter, yes. I would love to be able to meet the great influencers of Gestalt, some of them anyway. So I am becoming a person in the Gestalt community, yes.
So now I have a question about some moments or some memories, a more challenging memory in Gestalt, and your favorite memory, your favorite moments in the Gestalt world.
Yeah, I think there are two challenging moments. Was when I, as a client, I really struggled with the idea of accepting things that really bothered me in other people, or the significant others anyway, in my history, of taking responsibility of myself, of being more mature anyway. This was a very, very stressful period. And it took me years, I think. It wasn't just a period, it was like a long period. Or come across with some, you know, personal traumas. These were very, very challenging times. And accept and realize that this is who I am, and stay and stay concentrated to a place rather than looking around for answers or solutions or somebody to take my burden. Now, as far as training or as a practitioner now, it's funny because I have clients who cannot bear this burden. So I am so aware of that. I can recognize myself with them so much. So, and they need easy answers, quick solutions. So a big challenge is when I feel inadequate, and that's I'm not doing the right job for them. Because I believe, I mean, I respect all, you know, modalities, but I think that there are some people who are who feel better in other approaches, as long as they're you know, exercised by experienced therapists. But yeah, this is a very challenging moment, being a therapist, when a person cannot bear their own burden, or they don't understand of what you're doing exactly. What are you doing exactly now? So because they're used to very extreme and polarized feelings. So this is what they recognize. They cannot recognize anything in between. So I understand why they're feeling like that. But isn't this what we're trying to do, to get people off from polarities? The world is full of polarities. We live in a polarized world. So what we're trying to do is try to make them see things in between the polarities, in all the colors that are between white and black.
The many shades of gray. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What about your favorite memory? Your favorite memory in the Gestalt world, Gestalt?
Many great memories.
It's just one that comes to mind now. Or two.
Thanks. I think one would be when my therapist recognized me as a therapist. And the other would be being able to be with others and being a feeling of belonging, and having the feeling of belonging somewhere.
Can I ask, because I share that a little bit. I feel like I'm in the process of that. What made you realize, was there a moment that, yeah, my therapist is now acknowledging me as a therapist? Because you had a Gestalt therapist before your training, right?
Yeah.
What happened that you, oh yeah, now, was there a moment, was there an incident, something was said, something happened, was it a long process? How did that happen?
It wasn't really an incident. It was an atmosphere. It was a feeling, you know. That's made me realize that she can trust me. To go on doing what she does. In an ethical way, anyway. Yeah. yeah, that's a very moving moment. That's a very touching moment. Although it wasn't like, obviously, yeah, I got my degree and everything okay, but that's a very special moment because it comes from a special person who's doing the same thing that you're aiming to do. So
yeah, that opinion has a lot of
yeah, gravity
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it was when I see my clients feel more relieved, that I see them breathe, or I see them have eye contact. I'm not talking about, you know, clients who have ended their therapy, but clients, even in these very first steps, this is so moving when they had come and they were so lost and so helpless, you know. So that's a very, very touching moment. And or when they say, when they have aha moments, or where they see things that maybe I had seen beforehand, and without me saying anything, you know, they just, it comes out of their mouth, and it's so clear, the form is so clear, and they take a breath, you know, or they come closer to me, or they include me in their process, and I am included, and I feel very touched when I'm included in their you know, in their field, because many people come very detached, very detached from their own, themselves, and let alone the other. So yeah, these are very touching moments.
So what's next? What do you see for yourself, for Gestalt therapy in the future? And
Yeah, that's a good question I haven't thought of. I'm in the process of focusing on well-being, on mindfulness, on, you know, on mental health in organizations. Since I wasn't that lucky to have, only in the last the current job, I have supervisions, and they're very helpful. I believe that people should get some, some support, some mental health support, since they're spending half of their lives in work. So yeah, maybe I'm just at the beginning of that, but I'm interested in groups. First of all, I love groups. I love the work that is the magic that is happening in the group, and how a person changes from the reflection and the mirroring and the interaction. And it's a small world in the group. It's the microcosm of cosmos, and I love that. The groups have changed me, have helped me, have helped me see myself. They have helped me being a better person, and I can be more grateful. So groups and well-being at workplace are my next goals.
Okay. So those are our basic questions. And now I just wonder if there's anything else you'd like to add, you wish to share, anything I didn't ask that you feel is important that you would like to add?
Um, No, I think we're okay. I don't know if I was being myself enough.
Yes, of course, you were. So we'll stop right here. Thank you very
Okay.
much for your
Yes,
time,
thank
for your
you. Thank
sharing.
you, Clara. Yeah.